Hi, my name is Pierre and thank you again for joining me for another video. Now today's video is about how a diet can impact our body. We're going to be talking today, generally speaking, about the vegan diet, the keto and the carnivore diet. Now some of you may know me from videos I've made in the past that I'm a big fan of the vegan diet, especially if you're coming from the standard American diet. If you're sick, your body's very sick, and you want to get back into shape, get back into health, and you're currently on the American standard diet, I would encourage you to first try the plant-based diet. I still believe this is probably your best option, best choice, and a lot of people have gotten great results from it. Okay, and that's just from getting back into health. Helping people with their disease or sickness that they have and so forth. But before we get into the meat of things, I just want to maybe start with a little disclaimer, as I usually do, that I am not representing anybody or any organization. I am just sharing with you the observation that I've made in the last few years, and I'm presenting you my viewpoint of those observations. All right. So about a year ago, I came across a few YouTube videos that were talking about the carnivore diet. And I was amazed at how quickly people healed from whatever illness they may had, how much weight they lost, how great they felt, and the various sicknesses that some of them healed from within a span of, let's say, a year. Being on the carnivore diet. And I was amazed that it went against everything the teachers, the wellness people in the vegan industry would say would happen if you go on an all-meat diet. There was all gloom and doom, and you're going to be very sick. You could get a heart attack and so forth. Right? This was the projection made by the vegan community that I was listening to about going on a different diet, especially if you go more towards the keto or even carnivore, which is even worse because it's just meat. So I was a little surprised by the outcome and how that turned out. And then after a while, I kind of remembered that I had a conversation with a lady once, many years ago, who had cancer, had gotten cancer a long time ago. Then she went on a vegan, plant-based diet, went into remission. I'm sure she adopted all kinds of things, right? And then she was well for a few years, but then recently she had got her markers, cancer markers had come back higher and higher. And her tumor was starting to develop. And she didn't know what to do. And then she tried the keto diet. And to her surprise, or I guess to her happiness, the markers went back down again, and she's again in remission. So that was very interesting. So for her, who had been on the plant-based diet for so many years, it seemed her body got tired of it or was not reacting to the diet as well as it did initially. So all this to me, after reflecting on this, kind of was making me thinking that, maybe there's multiple ways. It's not one diet only that can heal you from whatever illness you have, right? Maybe it's a combination, or it's a different, maybe your body gets tired of a diet and you need to change, to another diet to see improvements. It's a way of your body telling you what you're doing right now is not working anymore, or it never did, or it's not anymore, and now you need to change, right? And to me, that was a big revelation, because I was kind of stubborn in my thoughts and my ways of suggesting to people that they should, stick to the vegan diet, and it must be something else that's the problem. It's not the diet, it's something else, right? So right there, that was a big, revelation, surprise for me. But that was about a year ago, and I kind of forgot about all this. And then, just a few weeks ago, a friend of mine who hadn't spoken for a few months was telling me that he had been on a carnivore diet now for the last 3 months. And I knew he was sick. He was not doing well. He had all kinds of illnesses, you know, his health was up and down. But for the last 2 or 3 years, like, the guy was in pain. He was not doing well. And now he's telling me, Pierre, man, I haven't been feeling this great in a long, long time. I've lost a lot of weight, and I'm feeling great. A lot of my symptoms and illnesses are gone. I've stopped taking all the pills I was taking. And that kind of reminded me of what I had stumbled upon, I guess, a year ago, you know. And so I thought about it. I said, you know, maybe it's a sign that I need to make a video about this to let people know, share with people what I've kind of noticed, right? Again, I'm not a doctor, so, you know, obviously you should always consult with a professional before doing anything. But again, you observe what you see, and when you see many people, testimonies saying they're doing so much better on the carnivore diet, you have to take notice, you know. And I suspect we had the same kind of testimonies when keto came out, and people were doing great. It just, I was not paying attention, or I didn't make me believe it, and so forth. But I don't know, this time around with the carnivore diet, when I was watching those videos, and again, I started watching them again a bit, and it seems to be more science into it now. There's more doctors that are kind of backing up the information. So it's interesting to see. And so you could say this video is a summary of everything that I've watched, and you could say learned in the last year and a half. And so let's, I figured, you know, that would be my little intro about, you know, all this and why I'm doing this. And I'd say the nice thing about making a video is it really forces you to get your thoughts in order, you know. And that's why it took me a long time to make this video, because I had to get my thoughts in order. And hopefully what will come across will make sense to you. All right. I have some notes here, so I apologize if I'm kind of glancing at it once in a while, because I want to make sure I say everything I want to say. All right, so let's start off by saying that we are living in an era where there's different camps for different things, right? There's obviously political camps, but there's also diet camps, it seems, or diet cult or religions. People become fanatic about the diet they're on these days. So you're either part of the vegan camp, or you're the keto camp, or you're part now of the carnivore camp, right? It's also referred to sometimes as the lion diet, the carnivore. And usually when there's a camp versus another camp, there's always some, people are trying to prove or show that the other camp is no good. No, we're the only ones, kind of thing. That's right, everybody else is wrong. So there's a lot of negative comments, which sometimes are valid. So as a newcomer to this environment, you have to be open to hearing both sides of the story, not just the positive things, but also the negative things that could be true. And take that into account when you make your decisions, right? But there's a lot also of scare tactics that I find are used, and that's not right. Just to get people to not go to the other camp and stay with them, kind of thing, right? So I find vegan people do that a lot, where they say, "Oh, if you're going to go all meat, you're going to get a heart attack and you're going to die." Well, some videos that I've seen on YouTube, the people have been on the carnivore diet for like 7 years now, and their blood work is great, and they're not dead; they're alive, right? So you can't say that about, generally speaking, that people are getting heart attacks left and right. It's a lot of people are doing very well on it, right? And again, I want to stress here the importance that what I'm saying to you today is I'm generalizing. There's always exceptions. You know, people react to things differently. Some very, acute reactions. So you have to figure that out on your own. But just because somebody says some people may have had a bad experience doesn't mean that you should be dismissing the entire diet, because that diet might be very good for you, and until you try it, you won't know, kind of thing. Now, when I say diet here, I'm talking about a component of what it's like to live a holistic, healthy lifestyle, right? A lot of people are teaching that lifestyle, where, especially if you're coming from the standard American diet, you're overweight, you're eating a lot of sugar and what have you, right? You're not doing any exercise. You're taking probably 7, 8, 10 pills a day, kind of thing, right? So for those people that have got a wake-up call and want to turn their life around, right? I always recommend, and many people, many organizations are doing that as well, is to approach health from a holistic approach, which means it's an all-encompassing approach, right? And I have a picture here to try to explain this to you. I made this diagram a while ago, and I've kind of adapted it just a little bit for you guys today. Really, the stats that you see here is related specifically to cancer. So if you don't have cancer, this does not apply to you, but one could argue that maybe part of this makes sense for you as well, right? Even if you have, let's say, diabetes, I'm sure the reason why you have diabetes can be broken down into groupings of things, and the percentages of those groupings would vary based on, on diabetes. But this particular one here is cancer, where the NIH, which is a U.S. government agency, way back in 2008, knew this already in 2008, that cancer doesn't fall from the sky. It's not hereditary. It's 95%, up to 95% of it is caused by something in your environment. Something in your environment could be as simple as bad decisions you made in the past. You're working, let's say, in a chemical plant, or you live right next to a nuclear reactor or whatever, right? It could be tobacco. It could be your diet. It could be infections. There's many reasons that you see here that why people are getting cancer. But the fact that 95% of them is not genetic means that the reasons why you got cancer maybe was partially caused by the decisions or lack of decisions you made in the past. But it means also that if you change those decisions and you start adopting a healthier lifestyle, then you can reverse that, right? Just by a simple reversal of behavior on your part and decision making, okay? So that explains that little chart here. Now, what I try to use here is an analogy of your body and a glass of water. Okay, so what I would say here is the glass of water represents your body's internal systems, and the water level inside represents their ability to remain healthy. So what is an internal system? So it could be your lungs, it could be your heart, your bladder, your kidneys. So every organs or every internal systems we could make an analogy for would have its own glass of water. Okay, and if we're going to take that analogy, to back when a child is born, right? Every organ in the child's body is usually very healthy, right? So every organ would have a glass for each organ, and the water within that glass would be within the ideal level here, right? And then as a child gets older, they're influenced by their surroundings, by the decision they make. They might start eating candy, not do any exercise and so forth, or be exposed to something that's very dangerous for their health that could poison them in some ways or another. And what happens is, for different organs, the glasses of water will start going up and down this level here, right? And if things go bad too quick, very quickly, there could be an overflow of the glass. And that's when here we're talking about when there's an overflow, that represents a manifestation of a disease, right? Such as cancer and diabetes. And to some degree, that's why we have that could explain why we have so much diseases starting at an earlier and earlier age as we move on, right? It's amazing how many kids have cancer today, or how many kids are diabetic and so forth. So this is what, this, you could say, picture here represents. So how do we affect the water level in the glass here for each internal systems of our body? Well, one way is to do less of the things on the right side here, right? Because every time you do things on the right side, you're adding water into that cup, right? So processed food, stress, bitterness, working in a toxic environment, smoking. There's a lot of negative things you could do here to add water to the glasses that's inside your body for the organs that you have. And then a good way of removing water from those glasses is by eating organic food, eating herbs and spices, taking supplements when it's needed, exercise, drinking clean water, forgiveness, detoxification, and so forth, right? What we're trying to show here is if you do more of the things on the left, chances are your water level is going to come down and be in an ideal situation. More things you do on the left and the less things you do on the right, right? So you're trying to create that ratio here of do more things than bad. Overall, your body should start improving health-wise, right? As long as you, again, live in a holistic approach of working on all these things at the same time, right? If you're very sick, you want to start working not just on food, but also doing other things in your life, addressing your various aspects of your life, right? Either people around you, your cleaning products, your perfume, or your makeup that you're using, and so forth, right? You want to start cleaning that up so that you're living a holistic, healthy lifestyle. So this is what this picture represents, and I hope you get a good sense of what I'm trying to say here. Why does a diet work for some people and not for others? Right? You've seen that happen around you, right? Where somebody will eat certain foods and they'll start feeling great, while others are not. So one could argue that our bodies behave differently to food. So that's why my body may react differently to certain foods than for you, right? And one could also say that reaction to food may change over time. So maybe today I can tolerate, let's say, broccoli, but 10 years from now, my body won't be able to tolerate it. I'm going to start I'm bloated, or I'm going to get maybe heartburns and what have you, just because I'm eating broccoli, right? And one can argue, well, why was I fine? I was able to eat broccoli, 10 years ago, but not today. Well, guess what? Your body has changed. Things have changed in your life, and you have to listen to your body. That's and also there's food allergies that people have developed, right? And those food allergies usually create a reaction, and the intensity of the reaction varies by people. And some people react violently to allergies and can even die, right? That's why some people walk around with an EpiPen in case they get such a reaction, like to peanut butter or something like that, right? So not only do each of us have maybe different tolerances for different food or food types, but also that tolerance will manifest itself either in heartburns, in an upset stomach, or an allergic reaction, right? So these are all signals, you could say, that your body is trying to send you that what you're eating is not good for you, and you need to change it, right? And that's what it comes down to, right? Listen to our body. And I think if there's a biggest takeaway you can have from this presentation here, or this talk, is listen to your body, right? Observe what your body is reacting, what the signal that it's giving you, right? Are you always tired? Are you having joint pains, right? Do you have headaches, migraines, those kind of things, heartburns? Do you feel bloated after a meal, right? Do you have muscle aches and joint pains and so forth, right? Usually these are all signs that what your body is trying to tell you is there's something in your life that's not right. And usually these could be symptoms of food allergies. And we oftentimes seem to think that it's something else, right? So one of the easiest things to do is to try a different diet and see what happens, right? Let's say that you've kind of accepted the fact that, that maybe I need to change my diet. So, okay, I agree. I'm going to try to choose another diet now. So what do I do now, right? Well, before you start a new diet, I would really suggest that you monitor yourself and keep a journal, right? Because this way you want to see if you're improving, okay? So the best thing you should do, I would think, is for you to do a blood test before you start your new diet, right? Get some blood work done. Find out what your markers are. What's your vitamin C level? What's your iron level? What's different things measures the health of your body and make sure you have all the minerals and vitamins that you need, and understand what their levels are, what your blood count, red blood count is and white blood count is, and so forth, right? So get a good baseline, understand where you're high on some that's dangerous or low in some that's dangerous, and understand those where you're in the middle or you're within the range that you're supposed to be in. And also start journaling, right? Describe in your journal all the aches and pains you have right now, right? It's not just physical. It could be mental. You may have you're constantly your thoughts are foggy and you can't think clearly. You get tired. Your attention span is very short. So write all these things down. Things that you used to be much better in the past, but now things have deteriorated, right? So you write those things down before you start a new diet, so that you can go back and see if those things have improved or not, right? Because that's a good way to tell you that your new diet is actually working, right? Aside from your blood work, right? You have visual, sensational experiences that tells you, oh, I'm getting feedback. My body's giving me feedback. Things are working much better now, right? So those are the kind of things I would do. Okay, another question people would have is, what do I expect? What should I expect if I'm going to change diet, right? And I would think some people have expressed this in their testimonies, that there should be some level of withdrawal symptoms that will surface within the first 2 or 3 weeks. It could be mild, it could be intense, and so that, I think, could be a normal behavior that you should expect to see when you change diet. So that should not, don't be alarmed, because I think that's very normal. And especially if you're going to go to an extreme diet, let's say like a carnivore diet, your digestive tract, your gut, your microbiome has been used to dealing with the food you've been giving it for the last, 20, 30, 50 years. And all of a sudden now you're doing this drastic change. And so your gut is saying, hold on a second here. I'm not prepared to handle this. This is brand new for me, right? So your microbiome has to retool itself to have the proper tools to handle the new diet that you're on, and get rid of the old tools that are no longer used or no longer required, right? So there's a process, the time that it's going to take for your microbiome to, retool itself, prepare itself to be able to handle the new workload that's coming its way, okay? And to me, that's part of the withdrawal symptoms. So to me, this is a logical thing to expect. If you migrate to a new diet slowly, I suspect those withdrawal symptoms will be milder. But it seems some people have switched overnight to carnivore diet and they've had no withdrawal symptoms, while others have, right? So again, everybody's different. Everybody's going to react differently. I would expect also those symptoms to start fading, within at least 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Most people are saying like the withdrawal symptoms, the intensity decreases over time, and within 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks max, they're starting to feel much better. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. And then after that, I would continue doing blood tests every 4 weeks or so, just to make sure you're on the right track, right? Because you might feel a little better, and the blood work is good just to confirm that your numbers are getting better, right? Doing a blood test, let's say within 2 weeks, especially if you're having your withdrawal symptoms, is not a good idea. Having a blood test done at that point, it's too early. Like I said, your numbers are going to be out of whack. They're probably going to be worse than they were when you started, because your whole body is readjusting to this new diet. So to me, these would be a lot of false positives that you would be looking at when you're looking at those numbers. So I would start, doing blood work maybe after 4 weeks after you start your new diet. And then after that, the frequency is really up to you. Maybe at the beginning, you might want to do it every 2 weeks after that, or every 3 weeks. And as time progresses, maybe after 6 months after that, you do it every quarter, and after that, maybe once a year, twice a year. It's always a good idea to get your blood work done and keep stats, keep track of how you're doing. Same thing with journaling. If you can, try to keep journaling so you have a history of your progression on this new diet and so forth. And this way, if you want to give a testimony later on, you'll have all your notes handy that you could refer to when you're doing your video to give your testimony to people, right? So those are the kind of things I would be doing. Another question that you could maybe asking yourself is, well, how long do I stick with this diet if it doesn't seem to be working? And that's a tough one. If it's not working and there's nothing majorly wrong with how you're feeling right now, other than maybe you feel like your health is not improving, or something like that, nothing too major, I would say try to give it at least 6 to 7 weeks to give it a chance, right? Because then I would expect after 6 to 7 weeks things should start improving. And if they're not, maybe that's the wrong diet for you. But obviously, if things are going haywire very badly, things are going sideways, as they say, then reassess very quickly and try to figure out what's going on. Like, why are you feeling so bad? Is it just because you were too aggressive and you should start doing it slowly? Or maybe certain foods you're eating now that you were not eating before, or you have an allergic reaction to them, So there's a lot of things to consider about your diet, your new diet. But again, if things, generally speaking, are relatively the same as they were before, you don't see a major change in your health, give it 6 to 7 weeks. Another question you may be asking yourself, well, which diet should I start with, right? And again, that's really up to you. But, I was talking earlier about a lot of diets or the way you feel about certain foods. You have like peanut allergies. You're having a meal and you feel bloated after, and you kind of notice every time I eat cauliflower or beans, I feel bloated, or you may have acid reflux, after eating certain foods. These to me are all signs of maybe some food allergies or reactions to certain foods. So you would want to maybe try to eliminate those foods from the diet you're going to choose. And some people are allergic to a lot of foods, like the Peterson, Jordan Peterson's family, all three of them, they have some serious health issues. And some of them, it's a reaction because of their gut microbiome got destroyed because they took some pills. Others, they have allergies. His daughter was allergic to everything. So they all ended up on the carnivore diet. And to me, the carnivore diet is, you could say, the extreme elimination diet. So if you suspect a lot of your health issues right now are food allergy related, and you're pretty much sure that it's not meat, your reaction is not to meat, but to other things like vegetables or beans or legumes and what have you, or fruits, then I would try to eliminate all those and maybe try the carnivore diet first. But again, it doesn't really matter. The point is you need to pick a diet that you think will work for you. Okay? Now another question might be, how long do I start on this diet? And because I'm feeling great, but I hear that this diet should be only a short-term solution and not a long-term solution. Well, see, to that comment, before I would have told you that is correct. Once you start feeling better, you should try to start eating more a balanced diet. And I've always believed that a balanced diet is the way to go. So if you can, try to get to that, right? So it'd be a bit of meat every week, vegetables, fruits, varied. The more varied your food intake can be, the more pleasant your eating experience will be. Especially when you're going out at a restaurant, right, or with friends. You're not going to be limited to the kind of food that your diet only permits. But you only do that if your body will accept it. You have to make that decision. Do I rather suffer in agony and horrible pain and have all these breakouts and what have you because of my food allergy, but at least I'm with my friends and I can go out to restaurants? Or do you want to be healthy, living a life of abundant energy, clarity in your mind and your head, and feeling great every day at the expense of not being able to eat out maybe Chinese food? You can't have Chinese food anymore, right? Or those kind of things. I think you have to decide what sacrifice works for you. For people that think that I've been in pain for decades, they would rather be feeling healthy because they'll appreciate that so much more than having the ability to eat a McDonald's burger, you know, or whatever, or a pizza. So for them, health outweighs any food that they're going to miss out on, because to some degree, sometimes the diet that you're going to be on will remove all the cravings from all these other food that you used to have in the past, like the sugar and so forth. So these diets will get rid of all those cravings, so you won't even be missing them anymore. So it's really up to you to decide how long you want to stay on this healthy diet now that you're feeling great or feeling much better. But I would say, again, keep doing your blood work to make sure that on a regular basis, to make sure your numbers are good. Listen to your body when things they're not feeling right. Could it be your food? Could it be that your diet is no longer working for your body and you need to change, maybe, you know? So be alert to those signs. And really, that's if I told you earlier, that was one takeaway I wanted you to have, is listen to your body, right? Forget being part of a diet group and, you know, feeling good that you're on this diet now. It's the question is how your body is feeling is more important, and how your health is. And that concludes my video. I hope you found it informative and made sense. And with that, I wish you great health.